big shout out to Daktari Edgar Ndege Ototo, who's been watching the show religiously for the past few weeks on Mondays and Tuesday. Yesterday he was on, today he is on. Thank you for creating your time. Post-medical interns for real. Saizi angekuwa hospitali, but we love his audience anyway. I hope they post him sooner than later. But asante for using that idle time to watch Biashara Tuesday. Leave us a comment as you continue seeing what we have to say here. Emperor Sheka as well from yesterday. Amesema nikianza comments nianze na damn. I don't know why, but damn, man. There it goes. Thank you, Emperor Sheka, for that. I think I needed it as well. I see my producer, Bonnie, Pia, ako hapa tuned in saying good morning. Asante sana for creating time. Continue giving us your feedback. Asachi Ashley, all the way from Ngong Road. Amekuwa akiona rice today, and today is just like any other for her this morning. This is the time for the newspaper review. It's still 60 shillings for the Daily Nation. The Standard is at 60 shillings. The Business Daily ilipanda hadi 100 Kenyan shillings, and I'm going to warn you, by the time this finance bill inakuwa Finance Act, this is not going to be 60 shillings. So get yourself a copy while you still can. The Daily Nation says intern teachers win fight for higher pay. And they have a picture there of school-going children seated on the ground eating what looks like a mixture of rice and beans. And that's the picture they have painted for us, even as intern teachers have won themselves an allocation from TSC to convert them to permanent and pensionable. This is what they've been fighting for. And some of them have been on strike. Junior secondary school teachers, JSS. The Standard says, the big climate rip-off here is a conversation on the rush to millions by African countries in the name of carbon trading. That's a question, one of those questions that was posed to President William Ruto in his state visit. However, they are showing an image of cheap electricity connections on the way. This is Energy Cabinet Secretary Davis Chirchir and signing a last-mile electricity connectivity contract between Kenya Power and another firm known as MS, that is from East India. Yeah, they're looking on this is investment from the European Investment Bank. This happened yesterday, hosted by President William Ruto. President William Ruto is back in the country, so we are going to also have a view on that, the trip itself, the coast itself, and the deals as well. George Wanjobi is here, Dr. George Wanjobi, and Dennis Kimani. Let me start from my far right, because it was Deno's birthday just the other day. Happy belated birthday and welcome back to the show. Introduce yourself.
Thank you, Richard. My name is Dennis Kimani, Chairman of Youth Green Society. I am so humbled to be here today to articulate issues.
All right.
Thank you.
It's a green morning for you.
Always green morning.
Dr. George.
Amazing. Thanks for having me on the show once again, Richard. And pleasure to meet you, Dennis, and a happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
We are here to pack and unpack what has been happening in the country. I'm here as a governance and strategic management lecturer in Kenya and within the Horn of Africa. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for creating time for us as well. Maybe we can start from that US trip, the big story of President William Ruto and the 60 years of relationships between the US and Kenya that was celebrated at the White House with a dinner and, of course, a lot of other activity. The US is offering us goodies, however, not just goodies. There's much more. If you look at page 10 of the Daily Nation, they're calling it not all about goodies. The US flexes soft power as it advances right issues. America is leveraging on its influence to nudge President William Ruto's government towards important people-centered reforms. There's much they're taking, and there's much they're giving as well. Let me just get a summary outlook from the gents on set on what they feel about this trip. Is it all good for us? Ama pia kuna some hidden things we should be worried about? Deno, tuanze na wewe.
Thank you again, Richard.
Yes.
To go to America is a good thing. And everyone enjoyed, including the trips.
Yeah.
We saw the president was in America in a 5-star, ama it's a 7-star jet. Yeah, living out the presidential jet in Kenya. It has really raised a lot of blows in the public. Some of the people are saying he could have used the KQ because it will be safer to to promote Kenyan market.
Yes.
Like we are saying, build Kenya, make Kenya. But it's okay. In his own tweet, he has said that taking the jet was more important because it was a business trip. But the KQ also offers first class business trip.
He says it will be expensive to fly on KQ.
I saw the news, the letter from KQ distancing themselves from everything that the government has done, saying that it would have been half the price. For my mandate is that it's good that the president went to America. Maybe he came with something, we don't know. On Twitter they are saying there's $1 trillion deal. We are yet to see the trillion deal.
A total of 1 trillion in the number of deals that he has made.
Yes. On the same deals, we have seen that there are helicopters coming in Kenya. We don't know if these are World War I helicopters or they are just new helicopters. We are yet to know about them. Yeah.
Oh, you're saying wanaweza kuwa wametupatia mabakshish ya World War.
Yes.
Okay.
But
they're reinforcing our security though in that way. That's what they are saying in the deals.
Yeah. But before we go in, we'll still talk about Haiti because I am very sure the discussion in America was also how to support Haitians. Because now I understand that the police from Haiti will be coming to Kenya before we deploy ours.
Okay.
Yes.
They're coming for a benchmarking trip?
Yes.
Okay, that's Deno's summary outlook on that trip by President William Ruto. Wanjobi, perhaps you have other views?
Well, I'll begin, number one, by congratulating the ambassador, because he's the first ambassador who has come to the country, Kenya, from the US with a different style of diplomacy. Many of the ambassadors that we have had in the country from the US have come, number one, have come to this country viewing us as a smaller brother, pontificating onto the Kenyan nation as a smaller country. Yet we have got the capacity to govern ourselves. That's why you see at times they even give lectures majorly on corruption, majorly on how to run an election, but they don't really get quite involved in what it comes to development. And for this cause, I'll give a huge shout out to the ambassador, that is Meg Whitman. She has really shown what true diplomacy is. Diplomacy in the sense that we can all get onto a win-win pad. I think other countries and other ambassadors and other diplomatic corps should emulate her. Not only in Kenya, but in other countries, because I think that's what I would put it, that she's advancing and pitching Africa and Kenya to the Americans. We expect China has succeeded in that, but we also expect that other countries like Russia, the Slovakian nations, the ambassadors should also do the same, such that they rally our influence, our abilities, and use that one to transform our areas of core competencies for a matter of a win-win. Now, once we go to the visit to Kenya, from Kenya, the state visits, it would be good that we note that this is the first Kenyan state visit to the America.
Right.
The previous state visit was done sometimes in 2008 by the Ghanaian president.
Yes.
So this is a major win for the country because number one, it showcases Kenya as an anchor state, as a gateway to Africa. And Kenya being the gateway to Africa, we got some shared values with the Americans. That is number one, a broad democratic space. That is showcased by Chapter 4 on our Bill of Rights. Yeah. The freedom of the media, the strength of the civil society.
Yes.
So it puts Kenya on a very big platform of a big brother also. So I would call Kenya an anchor state. Then number two, it makes Kenya to get to a competitive edge and a competitive foray, so that Kenya can also bag other deals with other nations. Other nations like India, the Russians, we have already done some with the Chinese, European Union, and majorly the first world countries. We are getting to the league of a we are on a trajectory of competing and having engagement with the first world countries. Okay. That was a big win for us.
All right.
I'll post a question.
Okay.
Do you think that is zero differentiation? Because you can be in America or the Western, where we are trying to come up with goodies, yet China is telling us, give us our money, pay back our debt. Because that is something that has been raised. After President came back, China has said, we have seen you in the West, we are fighting in the West, where is our money?
Speaking of loans as well, we are heavily burdened by the IMF and the World Bank. I'd love to know, of course, your takes on what does this mean in terms of us having an obligation to the United States. Many netizens, as you've mentioned out on Twitter, even under that hashtag of Ruto 1 trillion deal, saying, finally, we have become a certified puppet, which means now we have funding. Yeah, we have funding for a puppet show. Will that be the same outlook that Dr. George, you have, because you've supported that, of course, move to strengthen democracy? And just before I get that response from you guys, in terms of what this puts us in a position, it has elevated us. Dr. Joseph said it has elevated us to a position where we can now speak in front of other developed countries. It has elevated our position from being seen as a smaller brother of the US and more of a peer, given the kind of treatment that the president and his delegation received. So let me give a rundown of some of the very key and sensitive areas where money is going to be invested in by the US as you guys prepare for your submissions next. The United States has set aside nearly $40 million for democracy, human rights, and governance programs in Kenya aimed at defending democratic elections and political processes. So that's part of their hand into the democratic process of the republic. A very contentious area of conversation, even when it comes to who should meddle in our affairs when it comes to democracy and who shouldn't. On the point of corruption, as has been put there, corruption was also another area tackled in this visit, with the US signaling intention to provide $500,000 to make the county budget process more transparent and inclusive, and also increase citizen engagement, and a further $500,000 to help civil societies, organizations mobilize citizen campaigns, action against corruption. For that second part, I think if you have a civil society organization that is keen on providing civic education, think of it as an opportunity to rip in from that $500,000. But that's what they're pledging towards democracy and corruption. Who is going to fight this corruption is also a question. You're giving the person you're accusing corruption of an amount to fight the corruption. Yani, unampea kitu kidogo ya kufa. Unampea kitu kidogo afiche ukora. So that's a very interesting point there. And just lastly, to point out, the US and Kenya jointly also announced a new $7 million partnership for police reforms and capacity building, which is also has been pointed out by Deno, that mission to Haiti. So guys, beginning from the puppet politics and then back to corruption, how does it look like for us?
Look, I will say that it's good to empower our police, because we need a special national police service, the whistleblowers for corruption. Those are things that we can buy. If the discussion in the US was based on how we reduce our corruption, then I will buy it. But if the topic was not, my friend here, George, has talked about a gateway to Africa. If there was nothing that they talked about Raila Odinga being the AU chairman in America, then what is there to be a gateway of? You see, because the discussion you're talking now is how we are going to win Africa, because we are seeing AU Africa partnerships, we are seeing American AU partnerships, but now the Islamic nations have bowed and vowed to vote on the line of their own person. So Raila Odinga, who is a Nairobian representative, is on the verge of losing that, and then on 2027 August we'll see him back.
I would say that President Biden probably is thinking about his own election at the moment.
That's true. Even the last time I was there, I said we might be laughing and jumping because the dollar is at 130 from 170. But do we know if it is William Ruto or it is the politics of the US that is making it? Because now the election again, why is William Ruto going to see almost a one-term president? Because they are, both of them are one of them.
This is you saying that you think he is going to be a one-term president.
One-term president.
One of them between Biden and President Ruto.
Yeah.
Okay. Or both of them?
Both of them.
Okay. So this is a conversation between two people who might be one-term presidents.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know, then what happens to our deals? Dr. George, if you can come in there. What happens to our deals if then Biden is out of office by the end of the year?
Well, I don't know why. Why you can be so, which is the word, spiteful.
Pessimistic.
And pessimistic by calling them one president. But I tend to agree with him. But now, once we look at this thing on a larger scope, Kenya does not exist in a vacuum. And we must unpack the good, the bad, and the ugly that is brought by this whole engagement of Kenya and the US. Number one, President Ruto, I saw President Ruto coming out a bit prudent, saying that he's not facing the east, the west, he's just facing forward. And I agree with him that we must, as a developing nation, we must keep focusing our lenses to the forward. That's number one. Then, number two, Americans are quite funny people, because they might promise a lot and end up delivering nothing. We must be very cautious on that.
Okay.
They promise a lot. It's just, even this is the first time to see Americans promise on tangible projects. Majorly they promise on intrinsic affairs that you cannot get a hand on. So by them promising that we'll have an expressway from Nairobi to Mombasa to Nairobi, that in its own sense was a game changer of the trip. But it came at a very high price of, I think, $1 billion per kilometer.
Yes.
Well, we must check on something, because even he has touched on something to do with Baba and even our interest in Africa and even on the countries that we had already set engagements with prior to this. Because you should not leave someone that you have worked with for 30 years. It's like, I don't know what I mean. It's like abandoning what you have
to pick up kwa mswala upitao.
Yes, kwa mswala upitao. I think our diplomatic ministry, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the people advising the president on diplomatic goal must be many steps ahead. Because number one, Americans might impose on us and make us hate our friends. You understand? And with that, we lose. And now that one will put Baba on a very bad predicament or at a very bad pedestal of clinching the AU seat.
Right.
Because the West will have a problem by seeing that America has already stamped their authority in Kenya. You understand?
Yes.
And the AU chairperson also will carry the same words, the same metal and the same mantle. You understand?
Yes.
So, but hoping that it doesn't get to that level diplomatically, there were some deals that were cut, like now being a member of the non-NATO.
Yes, non-NATO ally.
Non-NATO ally.
Yes.
Americans need Kenyans even now, because they have really been suppressed by their other competing superpowers.
Yes.
That's why they are coming up in building the military as on IT and artificial intelligence.
Yes.
You have these things that where we look at the visit alone in its own sense. We expect that the equity investments in Kenya will shoot the private equity.
Yes.
Because now we haven't received a lot of private equity from the US. We expect them. Well, there's some things that have been done bad, because we're just unpackaging the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yes.
Because we should have from the US, there could have been a talk on our money that is hidden in offshore accounts.
Yeah.
That one could have been a big talk.
Discussion, right?
So that we can repatriate the money back to our economy. Because I think the offshore accounts are our weakest link towards.
How do you expect someone who is 200 million
Oh yeah.
To have a conversation on
I'm going to raise economies of other countries to raise your economy.
Which is also a question on the amount of money that's being given to fighting corruption.
Onto that one, I'll respond to that one. You see, Hustler in his own capacity as a human being, he has never struggled. Because you see, Hustler, his first paycheck was from the National Assembly.
Right, as a member of parliament.
So Hustler does not know how to live below
The means, and that is the problem.
Or doesn't know to live a standard life. If you look at him, from the point that he got the elevation of the deputy president, his first 10 minutes in office were to renovate an unoccupied house. You understand?
Yeah.
When he got the presidency, his first 10 minutes in office was
to renovate the state house.
To renovate this. I think he's a man of soft touch.
Yeah.
He's a lifeist.
Those are his means. He's living within his means.
If you remember at the other time when he just became the deputy president, there was a talk of the Hustler's jet, which was very expensive. You remember?
Yes.
You remember?
Yes.
This man, in his own sense, is a lifeist. But now he's a lifeist at the expense of the taxpayer.
Because
right.
I tend to agree. Humphrey Kariuki is the only person in the jet in Kenya. Why did he use that one? At least he could have promoted our own. But the guy is using a lot of money.
You don't go to see Biden with a jet from Humphrey.
Humphrey, it's quality jet. It's quality jet.
Right.
But either way, if America loved William Ruto so much, it could have paid the fare. It could have saved a lot of money even for food feeding programs for Kenyans.
Right.
Now even William Ruto is going with a 3 million and almost 10 million watch to America. And people are floods. Now I'm from Mathare. People have nowhere to sleep.
Right. So are we expecting then to see President William Ruto do a couple of changes in his cabinet, in his government, given he has been offered an amount to clean up corruption? And it was part of the conversations even as you look at page 10 of the Daily Nation, where they're saying there are areas which his team didn't even get to mention. There was a White House briefing on outcomes from the visit, and to the communications team, either in social media posts or official briefings, they chose not to mention. This includes support for democratic institutions, independent media, I love that. Civil society, human rights watchdogs, police reforms, judicial reforms, as well as transparency and accountability in government. This briefing, released ahead of visit, noted shared values of democracy, governance, and human rights, and there's money behind it. Is it going to do something about it? And does this also signal towards, of course, there's been structural programs from the IMF and the World Bank for us to effect in parastatals and in governance to ensure we get that money. Given also, as I asked earlier, there's $40 million set aside for democracy, human rights. Are we going to speak with our own voice, or are we expecting to see a few changes?
Richard, let me tell you one thing, and I have always told you, Kenya is good in ad hoc jackism. We write a lot, we say a lot, less is been done. Have they released the party's money now? Political party's money? They have not. Is he the same William Ruto who is telling Moses Kuria to fold his party and join UDA? Then what is democracy being party? This money is going to so
I didn't see that coming.
Yes.
Okay. So you're saying there's no democracy in the first place?
There's no democracy in Kenya. There's no multi-partyism. ANC is being told fold their party. Is it true, John? You've heard about those. So what we are saying is that William Ruto went for his own party money in America. Because why is he yet holding Jubilee's money? Why is he still holding Wiper's money? Because the parties are in the grassroots now. We are the other day in Limuru. People had to sponsor themselves to go and
so how can we use this $40 million then to fight corruption in the best way possible, or we don't need funding to fight corruption?
Yeah, we need the funding, but I think the money was geared on the wrong side. It was better the money to be taken to the economy, but not for politics, because this shows that William Ruto went to America so that he can safeguard his re-election in 2027. Because I can tell you, the ground has shifted. It is no longer in the hustler narrative. The only thing that the government can work now for is to steal the elections.
Okay. Yeah. So these are two people whose grounds have shifted. Again, when I hear it from Deno, President William Ruto's ground has shifted and President Biden's ground has shifted as well.
Yes.
For the rest of the year.
Trump is coming back. Because in America, it is Junior, Obama, Biden against one, Trump.
All right. Yeah. So, George, how can we use money to fight corruption, if that's a possibility?
Well,
or will we find another scandal on the corruption money, corruption on the corruption of funding?
You see, corruption in Kenya is a very intricate web. To a point, if you even want to try to think about it or write a thesis about it, you cannot get to the clean sheet of all where the truth the truth is posited. But I think the money, in my thoughts, was wired for, number one, amplifying the constitutional offices.
Okay.
Because we are in a constitutional order. If our constitutional order dispensed what it was envisioned to dispense, we can at least bring down the corruption level. If the various departments and the various watchdogs, let's say Parliament, EACC, the Commission of Revenue Allocation, the Controller of Budget, these are the Office of the Auditor General. If we just followed by the rubrics and the guidance of what we'd call of having a sound fiscal policy, we can get somewhere. Then number two, we are speaking about the political parties. We must enlarge and make it bigger, the political space of this country, because we are diverse in thoughts, we are diverse in persuasions, we are diverse in interest, we are diverse even in abilities and what we intend to achieve. And even our geographical zones, our tribal interest, because let us not deny the fact that we are tribal people.
Yes.
Because you are tribal even becoming religious. Let us kill this politics of hegemony, the big brother politics, the politics of pontificating, so that we can get somewhere. Okay. Then you had talked something to do with the reshuffling of the cabinet.
Yes. Is that something we expect to see, given that transparency in administration begins at the top?
I would say that the president has been let down by his cabinet. If not that the case, he's not giving them their full mandate to flex in their offices and their desks. Because now, once you're working as you work and someone else has not given you the full mandate, you are unable to work. Once your desk has been captured, you can't work. You are just there for the lagis. So I hope that the president does something, because there are some ministers who are there in cabinet and we don't know what they stand for.
Yeah, they have to wait for orders from above.
Not even that. You as a human being, we should know what you stand for.
What do you do?
What do you stand for as a human being? Okay. You understand? Okay. However dim, however dull it might be, however much unacceptable it might be,
you have to have a stand.
Yes. I'll quote that one just a moment. That's why I like Museveni. He speaks of just one thing: prosperity. Nothing else. Ustawi. So there's some ministers that we have, we don't know what they stand for. What they stand for. Okay. And their thoughts in anything. Yes.
All right. Didn't know you had something to put in?
On my side, I think the cabinet is already reshuffled, because now we are seeing the deputy president of Republic of Kenya is Farouk Kibet. He was the one who was left the country when the president was in America. We have had Farouk Kibet giving the ACK bishop a car. The other time, 24 hours, another car from Sudi. So I think the cabinet is already reshuffled.
It's just that on paper it is.
Yeah, it's just on the paper that is not there. Because we can see even the deputy president. The president has turned all the Mount Kenya people against the DP. On the Daily Nation, you can see Kiunjuri telling the DP, you're on your own side. You have brought your own trouble. Yeah, you see.
Where is that the source of your
own trouble?
Where is that on the Daily Nation? If we can have a look at that. But I'll get back to the Mount Kenya politics as we prepare for that, Deno. Let me ask you something, since you're in the green space. The Standard says the big climate rip-off currently happening in Africa is us rushing to sign carbon credit deals. Given that the pricing that is happening in Africa is lower as compared to the rest of the world. As someone who's operating in that space, are we being shortchanged even... as I ask whether we have been shortchanged by the US in these latest deals. We've been shortchanged as well in climate deals.
Yes, we have. On my birthday, on Saturday, we had a march, the Economic Liberation March, together with the climate change. We are Africa Development Bank will be having an event. It started yesterday till 7 in KACC. Okay. We were requesting Africa Development Bank not to fund greenwashing companies. I think...
What are greenwashing companies?
Greenwashing companies that, Richard, you apply for a grant to be given to mitigate the adverse effects of climate change. You go and buy a car. You go and come up with a petrol station that is producing a lot of fossils. You see, that is greenwashing. Okay. You are given money to mitigate climate, but you go and do things that pollute the environment.
Yes.
And this is the same thing that are happening in Kenya. Yesterday I had a call with my friend from Zambia. Zambia is getting power outage for 12 hours, my friend. That is Africa. Imagine 12 hours you don't have power. Because they have really cut down their trees for development. Now that we are having sustainable development goals, all governments should understand that we are trying to, the Vision 2030 is almost to an end. We are almost 6 years to Vision 2030.
Yes.
What else are we going to talk about? If countries climate change, like we are seeing, people are going to become flat billionaire. Because as we talk now, there's a lot of money that is being donated.
Flat millionaires.
Yeah, there's a flat billionaire. Because you cannot tell me a family of almost 5 people in Mathare is getting 10,000 shillings. You don't have a house. We have really cried to this government to give these people the affordable houses in Ghana. Because if that is for the people, and the fundamental duty of our government is to offer affordable houses for its citizens. We pay the taxes. So why are these still people still in Dandora borrowing places to sleep?
Right.
And we have houses that have no one to live in.
Oh, okay. So a few people are benefiting from these climate deals, including what we are seeing here in terms of cheap offerings, and it's deals we are making with other foreign firms which are coming into the country. Maybe Deno, you could come up with a company of your own in Kenya so that we get carbon credit exchange.
We are having one. We are having one that we are really pushing with the county government. We have the circular economy. How we are going to offset the carbon. We are first going to offset at the landfill.
Okay.
We are going to find until Dandora dam site is no longer a dam site, but a waste energy conversion center. And that is the only way even the informal settlement children will not die, because if you take data from the hospitals, no child from the informal settlement will take 50 will see 50 years.
That's sad.
And we are getting children from that side because
this is because of climate effects.
Yeah, a lot of furans and dioxins in the air, cancerous diseases. You're getting even a child of 3 years has cancer.
Okay. All right. So that's the take on the big climate rip-off. I don't know if Wanjobi had something to say on that before I move to the national news that is there on page 4. Battle for Mount Kenya rages on as president's men take on Gachagua. Before I get even into the details of this, I feel like it's a script I have seen before. We were talking about it last week on Tuesday here. That, I mean, last administration, when Uhuru Kenyatta was president and William Ruto was DP, we predicted this and it happened, that halfway through their tenure, mmoja wao tu atasema huyo mwingine amenikosea. Is this legitimate, what we are seeing between Gachagua and President Ruto, or is this just a way that, a script that Gachagua has read from William Ruto and said, it worked for him. I mean, why not copy and paste and use it? They know.
Okay. What I understand is that Gachagua was just a person to let William Ruto cross the bridge. Nothing else. Because if Gachagua was really a man, when Uhuru Kenyatta was talking about the one man, one vote, 1 shilling mantra, he could have supported that and then go to the people and tell them, si unaona nimepitisha hiyo kitu, because it helps the mountain. You see? But now he fought it because he was an MP. He was always on Citizen TV fighting the 1 man, 1 shilling. Nice. Then now because they are not on terms with the president.
Are they really not in terms, or is this a script?
They are not in terms because already William Ruto got what he wanted, and I can give you an instance. If Raila Odinga becomes the AU, and this is a calculation,
becomes the AU chairperson.
Yeah, chairperson.
AU commission chairperson.
Nyanza is gone. Nairobi is gone. Coast is gone. Western is gone. Raila is not a Luo, he's a Luya. So Western is gone. Who has been left alone? Only one region. Okay. And most probably, with even the US visit, we have seen President William Ruto is not going to take a man or even a mountain. He's now going to ride on the gender balance. Okay. He's going to take a woman
as a running mate for the next elections.
Yes.
Okay.
Because that for the gender principle. Yes.
So, all right. So it is legitimate fears that Gachagua is facing.
Gachagua is behind the tent.
Okay.
Behind the tent.
The faces behind Gashagua's walls as Ruto allies go bare knuckle. The faces are here: Kimani Ngujiri, Oscar Sudi, Kipchumba Murkomen, who have been in loggerheads with DP. Former Bahati MP Kimani Ngujiri pointed an accusing finger at Rhodes CS Kipchumba Murkomen and Kapseret MP Oscar Sudi as Rift Valley leaders spearhead a smear campaign against the DP. Wanjobi.
Thank you.
Yes.
This rift between the deputy president and the president has come at a very unfortunate time, and it has denied Kenyans, especially the Kenyans from the mountain, a good chance to ventilate and understand the finance bill. To a point I cannot understand whether it's a game, because you see it might be a game sponsored by the House on the Hill, so that you don't concentrate too much on the
finance bill.
But that's on the lower end.
Yeah.
But speaking in an ideal manner, some things needs to be done. Number one, to amplify the office of the deputy president. It's something that we need to get away from. Because look, you're not interviewing me because you're my friend. You're interviewing me because of the capacity that I have to deliver onto the show. That's why you have even Mr. Dennis here. So these people must get a working formula. So number one, I think various offices and even the presidency itself must set up a bar and amplify the office of the deputy president, its roles and its deliverables. Then here comes number two. Is Rick G right now is a man on his own, in my thoughts. Reason being, it is not that suppose that it was to be so. But number one, he's playing an overt card, and we're all human beings. And I like human beings who play overt cards also. You understand? So that, because we are on earth. We are on earth. And let's accept that you are human beings where you are on earth.
Yes.
So if you wrong me, I should tell you that you have wronged me.
Yeah.
If I'm not happy with you, I should not pretend.
Yeah.
George, I want to ask you a
Just a moment.
Let me finish up. Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
How many votes are in Mount Kenya?
Let's say 7 million.
They are almost 9 million.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You remember what Ruto was doing during the Uhuru Kenyatta regime?
Yes.
Petrol was high. There was no fuel in Kenya.
Yes.
Uhuru Kenyatta is having a government meeting in State House. William Ruto is in current residence, holding a parallel meeting.
A parallel meeting,
I dare Rigathi Gachagua to do the same.
To hold a parallel meeting.
Yes.
Okay.
If he's a man.
George, continue. Yes. Let him continue. Then we get to that.
The worst thing with Rigathi Gachagua, Rigathi Gachagua had greatness that was thrust upon him. You see, you are born great. You work for greatness, but he worked for greatness, yes. But there came a point when greatness was thrust and cast upon him.
Yes.
Now, when greatness was thrust and cast upon him, he never managed. He never had the wherewithal to manage that greatness. So he became an uncultured person. He went on like a loose cannon, attacking every sphere, every corner, and trying to extend the hegemony and the pontification that we were talking about.
Yeah. Earlier.
Yes. Yeah. Now, once you push on the hegemony and the pontification, once you push on the hegemony and pontification, there is none. You see, and you fail to apply persuasion and diplomacy. There is none who will have the capacity to stand with you
and follow you.
Consciously follow you from the point of the heart, and above all, stand with you at the hour of utmost need.
Yes.
That's why right now he has got no one standing with him at the hour of utmost need and utmost danger.
Is that the biggest problem about Rigathi Gachagua is that he went to UDA without a party. You know, you cannot go to UDA or purport to be supporting Mount Kenya and you have no party. Even in that cabinet, the person who is so far ahead than Rigathi Gachagua is Moses Kuria. Moses Kuria has his own party, and that is the bargaining power in a government. That's why you are seeing even Farouk Kibet can talk whatever he wants to him.
Because Gachagua has no backing of
he's
his
the
own.
same level with him. They're just UDA members. I hope you agree.
They are party members.
They are party members. You see? So regarding Gachagua,
and that's why I agree. But then I think with what George has said there, that we need to amplify the powers and the responsibility of the office of the deputy president, so that he doesn't have to always be relying on what the movements of the president look like. Because that's what
and even the deputy governor.
Yes, because that's what we've seen
in the Constitution, it is well written. The work of a deputy president is to deputize. There is no any roles
The
that come with
consistent.
it. It is to deputize
the president.
That's why you see even Uhuru Kenyatta came with an executive order that even William Ruto followed, coming up with a chief cabinet minister, Salem Davadi, because there is no power. It's like you are trying to push to cross me through the river, and then we are okay with that. You just have you'll be there with no portfolio.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let me ask this then. From what we've seen, the script before, what should be done to ensure that the president and the deputy are working all the way to the end of the term? Because I see a very big problem where we are going to a cycle, tunaingiza president na deputy, and then halfway through the term we are very focused on what their differences look like all the way to the end. As George said there, that now we have a finance bill going around, but instead we're talking about DP Gachagua, personalities, and whether or not his office will have a budget cut in the next financial year, which will be politicized, even if it's an expenditure cut for the nation at large.
Cabinet has more budget than regarding Gachagua. You can check.
Right.
The secretary to the cabinet. What
can we do to ensure they know that we don't have politics? Because my concern here is that we're going to focus so much on the politics of two people or two seats and fail to deliver. What do we do to separate that? There's a suggestion that maybe we should empower the president to fire the DP at any point throughout his tenure, so that he changes that as he likes, or we just have to still wait for impeachment if anyone dares to do that.
Me, what I think is that there was a gap in the constitution. Putting a DP that to be a running mate, it is better you can fire, so that we have leaders who have the same DNA. Regarding Gachagua and William Ruto had no DNA, because even when we take back our minds during the appointment of the DP, we heard that the defense minister was Kindiki was the one who was the preferred choice of William Ruto. Gachagua had to come out of the meeting so that he can be chosen. You see, so there was no DNA
between Ruto and there's no connection between him and his deputy.
And he just rode because of the mountain vote.
Okay.
Yeah, we need people with the same DNA.
All right. Yeah. So that's that on Gachagua and Ruto. Okay.
I'll say something. As citizens and as a country, and even as the people the elites who look upon these things, I would prevail on them that, number one, we should not make the office of the deputy president to be a poisoned chalice, whereby you go and you will not execute anything. None would like that, because it can even come onto you or onto any other citizen.
Okay.
Then the major cause of these breakups and these rifts that you see with the presidency, because the presidency is the office of the president and the office of the deputy president.
Yes.
And since they are also one joint ticket, it's number one, the coalition deals, how we get into coalition deals. And number two, the effect and the roles of power cabals. Because power cabals are let's call them unforeseen power, or the ones that we majorly refers to as deep state.
Right.
So power cabals have got their hands in the till. You understand? And they render you useless.
Yes.
So we must look for a way that as people write the coalition deal politically, because that's a political exercise, let them get their politics right. You understand?
Yes.
Let us push for the values of Article 10. That is the values of equality, fairness, transparency. Let us push them so that, devoid of who is running the show at the presidency, each and every person will get his thing. And that's where I'll take a swipe, not a swipe, a real swipe, but I'll challenge my brother, Dennis. You've noted we are talking too much about Rig G, but we have not so talked about his deliverables.
Yes.
We don't know where he ended up with the revolutions when it came to tea, to milk, when he said mambo ni matatu and maziwa. So that's a pending assignment. We don't know why he began something, used a lot of taxpayers' money, and then he never delivered.
Yes.
We cannot tell any deliverable that is attached unto him, not unless it's the IBEC.
Alcohol. He has tried to fight it alcohol. It's okay. Yeah, I fought alcohol.
Why should you fight alcohol? And the full panacea to alcohol, it's restraint.
Yes.
You understand? It's just exercising restraint.
Yeah.
So that was not a major.
It's nothing to do with availability.
It has not. None gives alcohol for free.
No, actually, no one gives alcohol.
But the good thing is that I saw him.
No one gives drugs for free.
Now that we have a county devolution, you know, the president of Haiti, President William Ruto, has really fought. He's really trying to fight devolution. And why did it never came up even in America? How could he empower devolution? You see,
the issue of devolution did not come up in his discussion with
the president.
I have to point out, though, that there was one part still on that corruption where an amount of money is to be allocated in county processes.
Yes,
sure.
And you can see even Mira ban. Why is Mira being banned in Mombasa? You see, it is not the same. Yesterday, I had a lot of discussion with people from Meru, and the same discussion were in Limuru 3. The people who are being drugged in Mombasa, in Kwale, it is not because of Mogoka. Only Mogoka. Only Mogoka.
No way.
No, only Mogoka. It is eaten direct. Even you, when you eat an orange, you wash it, peel it, and then you eat.
Only Mogoka is
only Mogoka
from farm to pallet.
Farm to pallet. Again, I show you. Kirinyaga.
Where I come from.
And a bit of Meru. Those are the people who are rich in Mogoka farming. True.
True.
Those women are the same people who went to the state visit.
Yes.
So what are they doing for their people?
All right, here is a statement from Ruto. Says, wacheni stories ajaba. The state says Mogoka is a crop recognized by national laws, notes any contradicting regulations are null and void, and he commits to allocate 500 million Kenyan shillings in the next financial year to Mira and Mogoka. So I think we can clear on that.
It's not even going to Ethiopia. Mogoka, imagine, a cash crop.
Okay.
A moment of silence there.
No, okay. Ethiopia have got their long one.
Yeah.
Ethiopians have got their long cuts, so they don't need ours, and it's one that is consumed in Somaliland and Djibouti. Ours goes to Somalia. Okay. To Somalia.
Right, and you.
But when it comes to that, Mogoka thing, my thoughts are on that one. It was pegged onto someone's whim, not even a scientific study, not even a published thesis, not even an outlier case. I think the people in Mombasa and the governance structure in Mombasa should support the national government in fighting the hard drugs.
Not Mogoka.
Not Mogoka. Because what is prevalent there is hard drugs.
Yes.
The other one, it's called the child
labor or what?
No. Child prostitution. There is a word for
child
that.
Prostitution.
There is a word for that.
Okay.
For the child prostitution. And the other thing that is prevalent there are issues to do with drugs, child prostitution,
and crime.
Crime.
Yes.
Because Mombasa has become like South Africa.
Organized crime is going up.
Organized crime and so many sects that run the show on a daily basis. And then we've got these other vices that happen. In strip clubs and everywhere. I think we should even check on that, how we bring the strip clubs down. You understand?
Yes, I see.
Hey, please don't tell this government to bring anything down. They will bring everything.
Because now, for the sake of the dignity of our girl child.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you know, what you are saying is exactly the meaning of hustler. Somebody. So whatever you are saying, it is already in this narrative of hustler. Until we change the narrative to a hard-working narrative.
Yes.
I have told Kenyans...
We move away from being hustlers.
We are not hustler. No one should tell you. Richard, you came to this studio early in the morning. Are you a hustler? Did you steal anybody's money? Did you get to prostitution to get that money? You see? But them, they are all right to be called hustlers because they lie around They will get budgets and nothing will be built. They are totally hustlers.
Right.
But Kenyans are hardworking Kenyans.
Kenyans are hardworking Kenyans. Speaking of budgets, on the 13th of June 2024, in just a few weeks, is when the budget will be read for the next financial year. And therefore, it's important that we also say something about the finance bill of 2024. Some of these are going to be affected. For example, the 2.5% on motor vehicles circulation, that's going to go into effect as from July. Nakumbuka vile affordable housing ilianza even before discussions went on elsewhere. Those are some that the government is insistent on. I see on page 7 of the Standard that there's confusion as ODM MPs are backing the finance bill of 2024. The larger outlook is that, of course, the opposition was going to completely go against the finance bill, as they did in Finance Bill 2023. But it seems some of them are in support of this. And we've been having a discussion. Just because I can't go through all these provisions, I have actually mentioned a couple of those in the shows before now. Maybe just to highlight real quick before I get your views, guys, is taxation a way for us to prosper as a nation? It's surprisingly a discussion that has found no solution in the platforms I have been at, in the discourses I've had on this TV station and off TV with my friends. It seems we are not getting into a solution. So I'll get your views. But in a bid to boost tax revenues, the bill proposes a raft of new tax measures and powers to KRA that are bound to be very controversial. Some of them will raise the services of crucial goods and some of them will raise the cost of crucial goods and services. For example, the government plans to remove VAT exempt for some critical banking services, so it maintains excise duty on multiple financial and telecom services at 15% for money transfer services, telephone, data, any bundles, telephone, bank to M-Pesa, and then at 12.5% for betting and gaming. So if you're betting from your bank account, you can imagine how that's going to look like when you're moving the money around. You'll end up with nothing even if you win your bet. It also maintains 20% excise duty on fees charged by digital lenders. Yani, kama umekopa hiyo pesa Tala, ukaiweka kwa bank, ndo uende kubet, you basically have nothing once they apply 20% excise duty on digital lenders. There are also other new taxes for content creators. I'm always here for you to tell you when your suffering is nigh. And currently it's 1.5% on digital services tax. But now it's going to be replaced with something called significant economic presence tax. And this is going to be affected on foreign digital businesses that pay 20% of their gross turnover. Netflix, Spotify, Showmax, hizo vitu una-enjoy from out there. They are moving from 1.5% to pay 20%, which means the cost of you accessing these services is going to significantly go up, right? And the cost of data is also going to go up given that amount on telecoms services. KRA to be given new teeth so that they have a look at what your transactions are looking like, your history online, and for you to always do e-teams for your invoices. There's a penalty of 2 million Kenyan shillings for non-compliance. Remember, e-teams is applicable to every single person, whether you're a business or an individual doing business with a business. So for content creators who I was speaking to, if you're doing an invoice to a business that you've done something for, a brand that you've done something for, and you don't do your e-teams, kuna 2 million hapo in terms of penalties and for businesses. Guys, this is in bid for the Kenya Kwanza government to raise revenues. Last year, we had a shortfall of 300 billion Kenyan shillings in revenue collections by KRA. Now, we are supposed to cut our expenditure by 300 B. So the president is trying to raise around 600 billion Kenyan shillings with this new bill. Is this the way? And what other way is there if not?
That literally is not the way, because the e-teams is eating up. I understand that if you don't have an e-teams account, there's a fine coming with it.
Yeah.
But it's good for a government that has no good friends who are rich. So they will try all means possible to get and collect taxes, all of us. You see, they will try even to tax your fares. I know even Makanga, very soon they will be taxed. Wakifika pale mbele, they will be told patia kidogo, because this government has nothing. They have no money. And just to take you back to the American visit, did they talk about anywhere the euro, the treasure bonds? Because a lot of Kenyans are trying to go to America to take the treasure bonds there. What percentage of money are we getting from the treasure bonds? What is the net profit from all those money that you are taking outside that could be used to be lent to the government to operate even the school feeding program? Again, the PAE,
which is no longer there.
Yeah, the PAE program. This government has really raised a lot of taxes in the salaries of our workers. Now the money that you're supposed to take home, it is for the taxes.
Haitafika home.
Haifiki home.
Njiani you will pay for your motor vehicle tax.
Yeah.
Alafu pia na any other toll fees zenye zitakuja na the Nairobi Mombasa Expressway.
Yeah. Then my question, just to pose a question, is why tax motor vehicle, custom duties, levy on petroleum,
levy on roads,
levy on spare parts. So why are we
overtaxing
one commodity?
Okay. Yeah. So what is the alternative? Maybe someone who's out there can also let us know. But as Dr. George also gives his submission there, we have around 1 minute, 9:55 in the morning.
With that,
yes.
I'll say something. That number one, we must pay taxes.
Yes.
There are no two ways about it, because Chapter 12, the Public Finance Act, has guided on it. But there are punitive taxes in this bill when you speak about the motor vehicle and everything. And this brings a sense of fear and a sense of paranoia from where we came from in 2023. Because if you recall, in 2023, we had the housing levy, we had the VAT push from 8 to 16%,
yes.
The VAT on fuel, a lot came.
Yeah.
So since we don't have time, I would plead with this government to provide just an enabling environment. Let us not kill the sectors that we have worked very hard to build. Because if you look at the fintech, Kenyans have been the brainchild of fintech globally. If you look at something like manufacturing, we are killing manufacturing. When we tax everything, we bring consumption down, and we end up missing on the revenue collection targets. You understand?
Yes.
That's why there is a missing alcohol, there is a missing fuel because of that pure hike.
Right.
So with that, we cut consumption on one end, the tail end consumption, then we end up missing the revenue targets.
Yes, right.
Then
that's why you're falling short 300 billion.
Yes. If you look at manufacturing, once we kill manufacturing, like there is a very funny tax on papers, the packaging papers and these newspapers, and you see the pulp that we get paper from can only come from Scandinavian countries.
Yeah.
Kenya will be a big supermarket, but not a manufacturer.
Yeah.
Let us not go that route.
All right. Thank you very much for that word to the government. They know one last statement, just one sentence, literally.
One sentence.
You have to say on the state of the nation.
For the state of the nation is that I want to congratulate South Africa as they head to their election
tomorrow.
We are looking forward that we'll have a youthful president from South Africa.
Yes.
Because now we are tired of these elderly people who...
Yes, ANC is losing. According to the polls I've seen, ANC is losing popularity.
Yeah, they are losing. Yeah. Because, they are trying just to enrich themselves. We are sure that Soweto will do justice for Malema.
Okay, for sure. Thank you.
For that, I also plead with South Africans to exercise restraint and wish them all the very best as they exercise their democratic rights tomorrow.
Right.
And all the best as they fix their country, because their country has been marred by power outage, runaway crime, runaway corruption,
xenophobia.
There are no jobs for the youth.
Yeah.
We are just on the same pedestal. I think it's the time for our generation now to find our cause and not betray it.
All right. Find your cause and do not betray it. We sent them the former president of the Republic, Uhuru Kenyatta, to be an election observer there. Hopefully, then he comes back with good news and power to the people. Thank you very much for creating time for us here. Thank you, gentlemen, for
Thank you,
showing up on
Richard.
this panel. Yeah.
Anytime, every time.
Right, for the audience, asante sana for creating time from 7 in the morning. It's 10 a.m. I'm going to sign off at this point. You have been a lovely audience from my producer and director, Ryan Ngure, and the whole team, a whole village that brings you this show. We are grateful, and may you enjoy the rest of your day as you also follow through with KUTV's rest of the broadcasting. At KUTV Kenya on social platforms, personally at Richard_Okenya. I'll leave you with one word. May your week have a lot of laughter, but maybe your profits also be higher so that you can laugh all the way to the bank. I'll see you around.